Welcome to the Buddy and Friends podcast, a podcast about performers. Let's get on with the show.
Hello and welcome to Buddy and Friends. I'm your host, Buddy Katz, and this is our first ever episode. I am Buddy Katz. I am a Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury impersonator. This year I'm celebrating 15 years, and I want to do something a little bit different. So I decided to start a podcast. Why not? So I will have a lot of amazing friends on the show, and our first guest is a truly a great friend of mine. Been a friend of mine for about 3 years now, and people might know who he is. He's been my backup dancer, my choreographer. He's a great photographer, great bowler. Also, I want to say welcome to our guest Barry. How you doing, Barry?
I'm all right. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Thank you for
Barry,
having me.
Barry, how long we been friends for? When did we meet?
It was October, I would say 15th, 2022.
Yeah, it seems like a very long time ago.
Yeah, really long time.
It's very hard to believe we've been friends for almost 3 years now.
And it was kind of like a by accident kind of thing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Um, Odessa. People who are my listen who are listening. Um, we have a friend named Odessa. She hosted a Lindenwall event, and she hired me as Michael Jackson to perform at this event. So I came and I saw Barry dancing in the crowd. I don't want to say aisles, but it's not aisles. It was outside. He was dancing in the crowd. I'm like, okay, but come up here. I went in the audience, grabbed him, brought him up into the crowd, and I'm like, okay, this is going to be a one great friendship, and hopefully, and basically, it did. Barry, I'm going to ask you some questions, and hopefully, you can give me some answers. Um, But for people who don't know, our podcast is basically about performers, and I love to hear stories from different types of performers, from musicians or dancers. No matter wherever you are in the music industry or performing industry, I'd love to hear your story. So, Barry, what was your early introduction into performing?
so it basically started, I would say, around the time that you and I met, because I never really performed like that.
Okay.
But as I got older, I was coming out of my shell of being like I'm very introverted to myself. So after a while of learning how to dance and whatnot, whenever I'm at parties, sometimes I'll come out of my shell and I'll just start dancing. I'll start dancing to Michael Jackson, Jersey Club, the music that's out nowadays in the hip hop culture and everything. And after a while, I got used to dancing and being in front of a crowd. And then I went to this fall festival that Buddy Katz was at, where you were at,
Yep.
and my girlfriend, she told me, "Oh, a Michael Jackson impersonator was going to be there." So I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna go there." And since I knew every song that was played and I knew the dances for those songs, I was like, you know what? Why not dance in the crowd? Because I love these songs and I've been practicing these songs for a while now. All these dances, I'm learning different styles of dancing through these songs, different versions of them, and I'm trying to mimic them as best as I can to feel so I can feel good inside of me because I'm able to copy what Michael Jackson is doing on stage. And when you pulled me on stage and whatnot, that's when I became more out of my shell. I started to just feel in the moment. And I just started dancing, killing it.
Mm.
We did Thriller, we did Smooth Criminal, Billie Jean. That's when I bust out the moonwalk on the stage and
Yeah.
whatnot. Everybody screaming, "Oh!"
Oh, God, you did a
Because
moonwalk.
in high school, I was kind of known as the Michael Jackson of my high school because since like during homecoming and prom, I would wear a hat, the fedora
Yeah.
to these proms, and I would perform in the middle of a circle. Not much room, but it was good enough, and I would just be Michael, and people love that, and I would do it basically every year that I could, just so people can have these moments, and I can have my moment because I was always the quiet one, so I want to kind of break that cycle and kind of get myself out there.
Interesting. Interesting. Yeah, it's hard to, like I said, it's hard to believe that that was 3 years ago, and people went wild for that performance. They loved it. How long? Well, how has performing inspired you through your life?
Well, like I said before, it really just inspired me to be myself, kind of be who I am. Because I mean, when I see Michael on the stage, he wasn't so shy and nervous. He was giving it his 110% every show that he did. And I mean, even since I was like a little child, I was watching Michael Jackson, but also not so much performing on the stage, but I've seen his music videos and everything, and I've always admired how like he dances and all of his moves, and I always wanted to learn them. And over time, I've learned almost every single move that he has done on the stage in the music video. Still learning these moves, just to put more in my arsenal, so that way I can say I know how to do these dances. I know different versions of these dances. I can put on one song and do two different versions in the same song because I just know how to do it.
Hmm. And that leads me to another question. How long have you been dancing, and how old do you start when you're dancing? Like, how old were you when you started dancing?
Started when I was probably around 4 or 5, whenever I was coherent enough to understand or listen to these songs and remember them. But I didn't really start taking it serious and trying to like really learn how to dance until I was in like middle school. I'd say fifth or sixth grade because
Hmm.
I had friends that were into dancing, and I was still kind of coming up to and learning how to dance, but I was never dancing in front of a crowd. Um, and little slowly but surely, I was getting more comfortable just dancing in a crowd. It would start with me kind of being in a corner dancing, and then eventually it'll me dancing would draw people to me, and then I would just go crazy and just start doing whatever. Like in my neighborhood, we dance to a lot of Jersey Club. It's
Hmm.
a club kind of music, fast beats. And nowadays it's elevated to becoming more of a worldwide kind of club music that everyone knows. And especially in our areas of New Jersey, Philly, New York, Delaware, it's really popular in the area around here.
Hmm.
And it's elevated people and brought, the young together and into dancing.
Interesting. Well, since you've been dancing for a very long time, have you have any like form of training in dancing?
Um, I would say so. Normally, before I get into dancing to Michael Jackson, I would just practicing my balance, keeping my balance and whatnot,
Hmm.
just kind of isolating my body into certain beats and rhythms of the song. Like I could put on the song and I wouldn't just listen to the lyrics. I would listen to the drums. I would listen to just the rhythm, the melody, and I would kind of figure out ways to move my body to these certain elements of the music so I'm not just dancing to one part of the song or just in its entirety. I'm dancing to multiple areas. So sometimes I'll isolate my hearing to only the drums, and I'm kind of just moving to the drums and focusing on the beat, and then I'll glide into the melody and just go slow, or if it's fast, I'll kind of move in the way the melody is flowing.
for our listeners who are just listening, um, since if you can't see the video, Barry is popping and locking. Just want to let you know you can visualize that. Um, so basically, you have like you're so or like self-taught. You have no form of training and dancing. That's amazing. So my other question is, how do you get into Michael Jackson?
My parents, I mean, they're Michael Jackson lovers just as much as I am. They showed me who he was when I was really young. He was on TV, and I believe it was like 30th anniversary, or even before that, when they showed me who he was. And I remember just watching the 30th anniversary on TV and watching Michael Jackson. And then my dad, he had bought the Michael Jackson Experience game. And back then, still now, I'm into gaming. And it was a really fun game. You had to match the dance moves that Michael was doing on the TV.
Yeah.
And I just loved it. And I became a Michael Jackson fan ever since.
Yeah, that is like one of the best Michael Jackson games in my opinion. I love the Michael Jackson Experience games, one of the best. Um, Talking about continuing the conversation on Michael Jackson, you have worked on a couple Michael Jackson tribute shows. How did that come about, and how was that experience? And also, can you
Well,
name those shows too? What shows you were a part of?
well, of course. So I was a part of one, two, three, four shows so far.
Uh,
Um, the first show was when I first met Buddy. It was the October show, and then I was also part of the second show because he invited me. You invited me to perform in that show. I did Smooth Criminal and Thriller. It was supposed to be a Thriller flash mob.
yeah,
But I was only one there. But that's okay. You know, we still had a
exactly,
good time.
exactly.
Um, the third show was a show called The
I
Magic
don't,
Continues.
I don't think I was at that show. I heard it was really good.
Oh, it was a phenomenal show.
Oh,
Now backstage problems, it could have been fixed, but things could have been fixed, but it was definitely a good show. Everyone that performed in it, they did well. And it took us a while to even get to where we were as far as the show, but somehow, some way, we nailed it when
yep.
it came time to perform and everything. We had a good audience. It was outside at Amphitheater in Lindenwold. Um, yeah, I was one of the backup dancers. I was right next to Buddy, and for the most part, taking on big roles. I was the choreographer, the head choreographer of the whole thing. It was amazing.
And weren't you in a show last year called Thriller? You took on the role as Michael Jackson for some of the songs.
Yeah, our idea was to incorporate not only just Buddy, but also me and another impersonator that you may see in a future podcast.
I hope he is on this podcast. You know, answer to my response of, "Hey, you want to be on the podcast or anything?" You
Yeah,
know,
not gonna
just
lie, he's a bad texture, but it's okay. He's a busy man. He's a
I
busy
know he
man.
is.
When you're a famous man, you don't always have time to pick up the phone,
No,
you
it
know?
does not.
Wink, wink. But yeah, I was in a Thriller show with Buddy and these other performers, and I would say that show did pretty well too. Although the venue that we had was quite small, we still made it work. We incorporated a new idea of working with children, and it worked for a good amount of it. It was a really good show. It was different. Because I've never been so much of in the lead spotlight and being able to perform in a few songs as the lead Michael just felt good.
Yeah,
Now, was I nervous as whatever up on that stage? Probably, but I had to lock in and just go with it.
yeah. And the last you show, that was a sold out show. And also, you're currently working on a new Michael Jackson show with Buddy at the moment, which is May High. Um, you're also working on a new show. I don't think we could tell much about it, but because I don't know when this episode is going to be released. So I don't know. Should we talk about the next show what we're working
Mm,
on?
we can say a few things, but we can't
Okay.
say too much because it's still in the process.
Yeah.
So this show is dedicated to Buddy because he has been performing for 15 years now,
Yeah, 15 years. I'm old.
and we decided to do instead of just a normal touring show, we do a show that's based on what the fans want to hear in a way, and also celebrating Buddy.
So yeah, we're celebrating two people for it's this show that's coming up, and hopefully people will come to see it. And if you did or still listen to this in the future, I hope you did come see it, and I hope you loved it. Um, well, besides being a dancer, you're also a photographer, and you have a photography business. Can you tell me your name of your photography business and how did that come into your life?
All right, so my business is called Barry's Digital Eye. Digital Eye is a camera, is what I call a camera because, quite frankly, when you look through the camera, it's shooting through a lens, and the lens is basically an eye. And that camera, since it's so advanced and smart, it's looking at what you're looking at, and it's focusing on what you're focusing on. And when you take that picture, it's focusing on what you saw through that camera. So that's why my business is called Barry's Digital Eye because for one, I have an eye for photography, and I just love taking pictures. It started kind of at a young age, I would say, not really. I was always called the smart child in the family because I was so much into technology, and I also love art. And over time, I got bored of drawing and coloring and whatnot, and I kind of wanted to go more digital. Kind of wanted to branch out into the technology world since that was what was coming up in the future, later times. So I took on graphic design at first, and it was fun. I loved it. It's still something I do nowadays, but if I wanted to turn it into a business, I would need a backup plan. And I picked up photography. I did a couple classes in high school. That's where most of these ideas came about in high school. And I just love photography ever since because my teacher, she put me on to photography and she taught me how to use the camera personally. And ever since then, I just took off with it. I bought my own camera. It's my senior year. Bought my own lenses and stuff, and I just took off from there. I made my own logo. I made my own merch that it dropped last year, but I only made some for me because I want to show off my brand on a shirt. Say that hey, this is me. This is my tag and everything. And ever since I started, it's just been growing. It's a slow process, but I'm currently still progressing in my career, and I hope to go bigger. Sooner or later, I'll be upgrading more in my equipment that I have. I now have two cameras. I started at one camera. Hope to get my third camera soon, pretty soon. That'll be seen in the near future. I do sports photography for the most part. I also do events. So if you ever see me around or if you see me through social media, you can book me at Various Digital Eye. BARRYS_D1GITAL_EY3. I am verified. Um, it is my picture with my graduation cap on. Um, yeah, I do a lot of varieties of photography. It's not just one media, it's a whole variety because I want to learn more than just one thing when it comes to this art. That's it.
Hmm. That's amazing. And if you guys ever have a chance, please take a look at Barry's work on his photography. There are really amazing photos he does. Um, he also did a couple of photos for my show last year and during our rehearsals. He is an amazing photographer. I can just tell you that. Um, is there any tips you can give me or any upcoming performers on what it takes to be a performer, or even that, being a photographer?
Don't be afraid to get out there and do what you love to do. If you love to dance, dance. If you love to take photos, go out there and take photos. It doesn't matter what you're using to take these photos with, or it doesn't matter what music you decide to dance to. Whatever you like is what you like. And if you want to get into a career like photography, take it slow. Don't rush into these things and try to buy the most expensive gear, because not all photographers use expensive gear. People like me, for example, all my gear is used. It was used and it was on the market for a cheaper price. And cameras nowadays, they run for $5,000 to even more than that if it's really new. So getting a used product that still works well is will take you a long way. Um, for my dancers, be creative. Think outside the box sometimes. If there's a dancer that you admire, watch how they dance. Listen to the music that they're listening to. Try to incorporate ideas if you're the creative type that wants to freestyle. If you like to do ballet, go for it. Just be you, be different. That's it.
Definitely, definitely. Follow the dreams of a dreamer himself, you know. He's an amazing person. Um, Also, my last question, I have one more question for you, Barry. And this is a question I ask all my guests on the show. Since I'm a Michael Jackson and Freddie Mercury impersonator, do you have any favorite Michael Jackson or Queen songs?
For Queens, We Will Rock You. For Michael Jackson, I would say yes.
I think
And history. History too. Yeah.
you know, great song, great Michael Jackson songs, great Queen songs. Well, Barry, thank you so much for being on the podcast and being our first guest. It's been an honor to have you. It's great knowing you as a friend. And hope you do well out there. And then guys, please check out Barry on Instagram and any of his other social medias. Barry, would you like to give out your social media one more time for anybody who wants to look at your work or book you for any future events?
It is Barry's Digital Eye, BARRYS_D1GITAL_EY3, and I have a check mark next to my name.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Barry. It was great talking to you. And thank you to everybody who has listened and watched our wonderful podcast. And I hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
See ya.